My name is Janelle Martin. I am the hub coordinator here at Austin Coming Together. And I am so excited to have you all join us today. Again, I greatly apologize for the delay. We are welcoming you to this month's Hub 101. And this month we are hosting our Hub 101 with Renaissance Social Services. As you all know, Renaissance Social Services, they are working to change the lives of individuals and families here in Chicago by giving them hope and vision for new life, by supporting communities and the people who live within them with quality, affordable housing, behavioral health care, outreach, homeless prevention, compassionate support services, and a purposeful focus on racial equity. They provide the opportunity for stability and wellness. I will go ahead and let Lauren do a little bit of an introduction on his own, and we'll get some slides going as well. If you can just give us one more moment and I'll get that up.
Hi, thank you all. And thank you, Janelle. So to talk a little bit more about Renaissance Social Services, and actually the program that I'm here to talk to you about today is called the Renaissance Living Room. So we are a safe, comfortable mental health crisis drop-in. And today, I'm going to give you a little bit of information on what Renaissance Social Services does as a whole, but then really focus on the Living Room program. To tell you a little bit about me, my pronouns are he, him, his. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm also someone with lived experience of mental illness and hospitalization. Janelle, can you flip to the next slide? Okay. So this just gives you a little bit more about our mission. As Janelle already mentioned, in the interest of time, I'm going to flip through that. It's available on our website. You folks can read it on their own. Next slide, please. So Renaissance provides homeless prevention services, permanent supportive, so that's through the City of Chicago's 311 program. We distribute state and local emergency funds to prevent evictions from lost jobs, inability to pay rent, and COVID-19. We also provide permanent supportive housing, including housing for formerly homeless individuals living with disabilities, and housing and supportive services, including mental health care. We also have our rapid rehousing program for folks who are currently homeless and at high risk for COVID-19, as well as nursing home diversion. So that helps people who have been essentially warehoused in nursing homes exit to supported independent living, and prevents people who are unstably housed from ending up in nursing homes. We also provide street outreach to people experiencing homelessness and living with severe mental illnesses, and also to help locate and connect people matched with our flexible housing pool program, which is another one of our permanent supportive housing services. So, and then lastly, the living room. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Next slide, please. So what's the living room? Here you've got a little picture of our where we're at right now in our temporary space. So we're an alternative to hospitals and law enforcement when somebody's experiencing a mental health crisis. We're non-clinical. It's a comfortable living room-like environment. It's open to anybody experiencing a mental health crisis. We don't require IDs. We don't require insurance. Anybody can walk in just right off the door, right in the door. All of our services are free and confidential. Next slide, please. Okay, so who we are. This slide here is just, actually it's now an old team photo, but shows you a little bit of our staff. we started, this was back in April, we had about 4 staff. Now we're up to 13. So to back up a little bit, we opened in November of 2020 and have been ramping up since then. So once we're fully staffed, we will be open 24/7. So this is where we were at a few months ago. We now have 13 people on staff. That includes crisis workers. So those are individuals who have a master's degree in counseling or social work, and they're available for consultation and help us with intakes and exits. And then the real centerpiece of our staff, are the recovery support specialists. So those are essentially peer supporters. It's people with lived experience of mental health or substance use recovery who use their own experiences to support guests who are coming to us in crisis and help use their experiences to, support people and instill hope. Next slide, please. So what is peer support? It's just, I really love this image because I think it shows some of the beauty and the word cloud of like what's really important in peer support. One, peer support's voluntary, right? So, and this is kind of a theme throughout our program. All of our services are voluntary. People can come to us, they can walk in the door, they can walk out the door at any time. Also important to peer support is hopeful. Our staff, us, we believe that people can recover, that people's experiences can and do improve. Another part that's important to peer support is this idea of mutuality and being with somebody, accompanying somebody on the journey, rather than trying to fix somebody's situation, what's wrong with them. Sometimes it's talked about as kind of discussing what's happened to you versus what's wrong with you. Next slide, please. So how to access us. Currently, the people can drop in during while we're open. Currently, we're in a temporary space at 5244 West Chicago Avenue. But early November, we're going to be moving to our permanent location at 4835 West Chicago Avenue. People can drop in and see us. They can also call or text us at the number on the screen. They can also chat with us on our website. And the reason there's so many ways to access us is because we want it to be low barrier. If you can't get to us on a bus, or by walking, maybe you can call or text, and that feels like a more accessible way for you to get support. Or maybe your cell phone doesn't work, is out of minutes, but you've got access to a computer. And so a web chat is an easier format for you to use. So we really want to reduce the barriers to people getting support when they're having a mental health crisis. Our hours are 8 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. And as soon as we're fully staffed, we'll be open 24/7. Next slide, please. So this is just a little picture of our entryway. One of the things that's really kind of important in this space, is that it is a calming, sort of, tranquil environment. And, one way to do that is just having plants and connection with nature. So that's kind of a part of it. Currently in our temporary space, we're in kind of a small space, but once we're at our permanent site, we'll have multiple spaces in the facility, including one space, essentially to meet people's needs at a variety of different energy levels. So like one more common social space, some smaller rooms, where if somebody needs to take a nap or get some rest, they can do that. And then also a space where that's going to be sound dampened or soundproof, so that if somebody is feeling really amped up and needs, a place where they can like let out that energy, if they need to like, if they want to like yell back at the voices in their head, or, just scream and get things off their chest, they can do that without the fear of, being called, having the police called on you or disturbing your friends or neighbors. Next slide, please. So of course, we do take COVID-19 precautions. You can see those listed here. Next slide, please. And, I think this is really important to talk about when should you come to the living room. Because, we know with the hospital, oftentimes people wait to the very last minute in order, because that's not where they want to go. Nobody wants to end up in an emergency department, especially not when you're, when you're struggling with your mental health. So the question kind of comes up often, when should you come to the living room? So some examples would be when you're feeling overwhelmed and you can't cope, like this person here who is just crying into the laundry. When you're feeling like there's nowhere safe, when you're afraid that you might do something you'd regret, like hurt another person, thinking here about dude hulking out, when you're thinking the world would be better off without you, or if you normally have those thoughts, which some of us do, those thoughts are worsening. If you normally hear voices and they are telling you to do things that you don't want to do or that you're unsure about, that would be another example. Or if you don't normally hear voices and you are hearing voices, that's a time to come. When the emotional pain is just too much, or it may be compounded by physical health conditions or your living circumstances. A lot of the folks who come to us are unstably housed, they're couch surfing, or they are living on the streets or sometimes in a shelter, and it's overwhelming for them. So when things get too much, maybe that's a good time to come to the living room. When your mental health is worsening, but you don't want to go to the hospital. So I think about this person here who's like screaming at somebody in the phone, and they know, that's not what they want to do. They don't want to be that angry person, but it just, that's what's coming out. Or if you're in a really stressful situation and you just need to get some space from that in order to think about and build a plan for what you want to do. Or when you're doing well, but you want to know more about the living room in case you need it in the future. Or if you have a friend or family member who is struggling and you'd like to know what's available for them so that you can tell them about it. Those are all good times to come to the living room. Next slide, please. So this is just a little bit about the living room model and what people can expect and what's different than say going to an emergency room. And I think, one of the points that I want to kind of highlight here is this idea of, the risk of hospitalization. For a lot of us who have experienced mental health hospitalization, we know that if we go to an emergency department for mental health care, there's a possibility that we'll be forced to stay against our will. And if we are, that we might lose our job as a result of that. if you don't call into work, if you don't show up for a shift, maybe you'll be fired. And if you lose your job, you might lose housing. Or what happens to your pets or your children while you're in the hospital. Those are all very serious questions that and barriers to people wanting to get care for their mental health when they're in emergency, when they're in an emergency, that really coming to a place like the living room can circumvent. And one more thing also about emergency rooms and emergency hospitalization for mental health crises. We also know that there's a lot of data that shows that while it may prevent someone from say committing suicide or harming themselves in that immediate moment, long-term people's risk of suicide increases after a psychiatric hospitalization. So, and some of that is, in part because of those negative sort of sequelae that can come from that. And when you come to the living room, what you can expect is that your self-determination is important to us. And we work with you to decide, you decide what's best for you. We're there to help collaborate. Next slide, please. Okay, so what to expect when you're visiting the living room. You'll be greeted by somebody who has a lived experience. When you walk in the door, the first person who you see is someone who has had their own experience of mental health recovery. We don't turn people away also. You'll be given kind of a tour of the space. We have snacks, we have food, we have drinks, you'll be able to speak with a trained staff person or not if you don't want to, because we know sometimes when you're going through a crisis, the last thing you want to do is talk more about it or talk to somebody new. If you want to just chill out and have a space to be and gather your thoughts, get some respite, that's okay too. Be treated as the expert in your own life. I think this is really important. You are the expert in your own life. You not to encounter, when you come to the living room, there's no paperwork that you are required to do. There's no lengthy risk assessments that you have to sit through or that might make you more frustrated or anxious in that moment. Both are, we do have an intake and an exit process. It's informal and conversational. As I said before, you don't need ID, you don't need insurance. The environment's kind of calm and soothing. It's set up like a living room. There's a place to sleep if that's what you need sort of to have, to help work through the crisis situation. So we really tried to create a space where you've got the tools around you to help you de-stress and to cope, and staff who are there to support you with that. Also, if you need referrals for housing, mental health, or other resources, we'll work with you, we'll help you navigate that, especially like, once people are leaving, when people are getting ready to leave, sometimes those things come up. So we'll help you build a plan for that, for what you want to do when you leave. Next slide, please. So I think one of the things that's really important to us, that we take seriously is the feedback that we get from our guests. So everybody who comes to us has the opportunity to give us feedback on the services that they got, and we take that seriously. And this is one of the pieces of feedback that we got from a guest who came because they were feeling overwhelmed and suicidal. And this person, they came in because of this and spent time, with our staff, who first, kind of figured out what the person needed in the moment, right? Like, do you need a bathroom? What's going on in your body? Do you need some food? Do you need food? Do you need water? Do you need just a place to breathe and take a minute, take some time to collect yourself? And then, take the time to listen, to understand, with this person, what was motivating that feeling, that, the thoughts of suicide, and that becoming more of like a prevalent theme in her life. And then, from there, work on addressing what those reasons were, what tools, what can we do to help this situation be less overwhelming. And I think, then in this person's case, we were able to, help them build a plan for what they wanted to do when they left the living room, including if, the suicidal thoughts and feelings kind of got worse again. And I thought that this was really great that, for them, they felt that, our staff were caring and they felt really listened to. Next slide, please. So this just shows a picture of our temporary space. Next slide, please. So there's a couple of guiding frameworks that are really kind of core to the living room. And one of those, is that, sorry about that, is one, safety. Well, one of those is trauma-informed care. So to give you kind of a little more background about trauma-informed care, this is an approach that, to mental health care, but it's also common in, in medical care and other settings too. So in part of that safety, we both physical safety and also the emotional safety, and in the case in the situation of somebody going through a crisis, really working to avoid re-traumatizing that person. So that's where trauma-informed care kind of really comes in. Trustworthiness and transparency. If if we have to make a phone call, we're going to let you know what's going on. We're going to, you get it, when all of our guests come to us, we show them around the space, so that they have a sense of there's no back rooms, there's no, hidden agendas. What's, you can see for yourself what's there. Also the sense of peer support, also peer support as a cornerstone of that. We've talked a little bit about that. Collaboration and mutuality, empowerment, voice and choice. I think that voice and choice, is really important to us. I can talk about, mental health and my recovery, but what's really the focus is the journey that our guests are going through, that their voices are the ones that are heard and that they're dictating the care for themselves. And also choice. You have a choice in the care that you get. We'll explain to you, what your options are that we know of. And ultimately, your decision in what happens with you, your body, your care, that's your choice. And also working to address cultural, historical, and gender issues. So that includes things like racism, sexism, and other forms of, homophobia, transphobia, and other forms of systemic oppression that are oftentimes perpetuated in our medical care and our mental health care. So we really work to combat those trends, those issues. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of the sleeping space in our temporary location, just small cot. But also next to it, and I think this is important, is a locker. A lot of our guests come to us and they are like living on the streets, so they're carrying all of their belongings with them. And one kind of common source of anxiety for people and stressor is, what do I do with my stuff, right? When I'm, if I'm living on the street, if something happens to my stuff, I might be really screwed. That's my ID, that's my birth certificate, that's everything that I own. So, in our temporary space, we've just got a little tiny locker the guests can use to put their stuff in when they want to, while they're sleeping. In our permanent space, we'll have full-size lockers that guests can keep their stuff in while they're using the space, just to have that peace of mind. Next slide, please. So one of the other guiding principles of the living room is harm reduction. So many folks come to us using substances, or who use substances. And harm reduction as an approach accepts that drug use, both criminalized and not, is a part of our world. Our focus is on minimizing the harm that occurs to people who are using drugs. So a common example of this is syringe distribution. We have a picture here of the Chicago Recovery Alliance silver van. One of the organizations that we partner with is Chicago Recovery Alliance, and they help us distribute Narcan to our participants, and also safer use supplies. So safer use supplies would be things like safer injection, safer smoking kits, things like that. Harm reduction also focuses on meeting people where they're at. We acknowledges again the realities of poverty, class, racism, social isolation, past trauma, sex-based discrimination, and other social inequalities, and emphasizes quality of life. So I really love this image of you are worthy of love. Harm reduction opposes stigma. Again, this idea of support, don't punish. And respect self-determination and individual rights. It's also non-coercive. And focuses on the use of evidence-based practices and policies. So evidence-based practices are those things that there is data showing work, that next slide, please. Oh, actually, I want to back up just a sec. But also harm reduction focuses on sort of treatment on demand. So that's the idea that when, somebody should be able to get care at the time they want and need it. I think that's one of the really driving parts of the living room. We're available not 9 to 5 when it's convenient for us to be there. We're available, 8 a.m. to midnight, or soon to be 24/7. So that when things start to get worse at 10 o'clock at night and there's nobody else, and half of your support system is asleep, there's somebody who you can come to, who you can reach out to, on your time schedule. And also any positive change. So we celebrate any positive change. This is also the motto of Chicago Recovery Alliance, that our, part of our work is being with, our guests on the journey and celebrating the successes that are important to them. The positive changes that they make, that, they see, that you see in your life. And I'd like to add to that also survival, right? Because we know that sometimes just surviving to the next day is a success. Next slide, please. So I've already talked a little bit about Chicago Recovery Alliance. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but I do want to highlight one of the resources, the other resources that we use. So the living room is an alternative to 911 when somebody's having a mental health emergency. And there's also other alternative programs around the city that are being developed or are like exist and are gaining steam. And just I want to put in a quick plug for Alderman Laspada's office's first his office created a guide for alternatives to 911 for behavioral health services and behavioral health crises. And I think Janelle is going to put a link to that in the chat. So that'll give, it kind of gives folks access to sort of more resources when somebody's having a crisis. And then also call attention to the recently signed Community Services and Support Act. So this rolls out in July 2022 and essentially requires emergency response operators to refer calls seeking mental health or behavioral health support to a new service that can dispatch a team of mental health professionals instead of police. So that's something that we can look forward to as well. All right. And then last slide, please. So that's the end of my spiel about the living room. I would love to hear from folks if there are questions.
Thank you so much, Lauren. That was very helpful and so informational. I am so excited to be able to share this out with our community members and get them the resources they need. One of the first questions that we have is, how old do I have to be in order to use the living room services?
So our focus is on adults 18 and up. That's who we're scoped to serve. However, we don't check IDs. Also, if a guest comes to us with children in tow, which we know sometimes happens, we would do our best to accommodate them.
Thank you. That's actually one of the other questions is, what do I do if I have my kids with me and I don't want them to sit there and listen to me talk through what's going on?
So, and depending on, like a little bit of this is like kind of a case by case basis and is also going to depend on how many other guests we have in the space and the needs of those guests. But I think generally what we would try to do is find some way, once we're in our permanent space, we'll have a little more room, but to like give the the guest coming in some time and space to talk, maybe, away from with some stuff, away from the kids. I don't want to say that we would officially like take care of the kids while that was happening, because I can't say that, but I think you kind of get the idea. We just try to do our best to try to make sure that that person got their needs met.
Okay, thanks so much. I know you mentioned it's free, but we do have a question. Is there a cost for anything? Let's say I want to continue to stay and maybe have a longer service, or if I want to come back, how many times am I allowed to do that?
As many times as you need to.
And it's free every time?
Free every time. We are funded by a grant from the State Department of Mental Health. And that is one of the contingency points, is that we do not, guests can come to us as many times as they need to, and we don't charge or bill insurance.
Is there a way somebody could guarantee that they would be seeing the same person every time they came, or is it more of an up in the air kind of situation?
That's a little bit more up in the air. So our staff do work regular shift, like consistent shifts. So same staff there Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. However, it would, like you wouldn't necessarily, like if somebody were, like we have different staff working different shifts. And if somebody were off, you wouldn't necessarily see the same person. But we do understand that, you build rapport with people. And so, if a guest came to us and had like a strong desire to specifically speak with the person who, they had worked with previously, we would do our best to accommodate that.
Okay. One of the questions we have is, would you be able to tell us more about your new space that you'll be moving into at the beginning of November?
Sure. So it's down the street at 4835 West Chicago Avenue. It's about 4 times the size of our current temporary location. Some of the features that it'll have are like a large mural along one wall. We're really excited to be working with an artist who grew up in Austin, Tatiana Howard, who is designing and painting the mural for us. We'll also have more space for one-on-one conversations, so some separate rooms. And the way we envision it, there'll be a kind of common area with couch, comfy chairs, dining room set in place, set up where people can eat, some small cafe tables. If people just want a space to chill out and kind of think or write or read by themselves, they've got that. And then also several smaller rooms that'll accommodate people at sort of a variety of energy levels. So like a separate room if people want to just, people want to just take a nap or get some rest. Another that, as I mentioned before, that sound dampened room, if people need that space to either like get out that high intensity energy or need a space that's lower sense, that's like, sort of like lower sensory stimulating.
That sounds so incredible.
And one more thing that we are looking to have is also a Narcan vending machine in our lobby.
Okay. Okay. And for the new space, will it be locked or is it unlocked 24/7? What does that look like for safety purposes?
The way we envision it right now is there will like essentially it'll be a double door entry. So people can come in into our lobby whenever they choose, as they choose, that'll be unlocked. But then the entrance to the like common space would be locked and people would have to like physically be let in by staff.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. It looks like we have a question from Pamela. She wants to know how she can receive Alderman Laspada's resources. So it looks like the link might not be up in the Facebook just yet. But if they don't have the link, where can they access those?
So if you go to the first ward Alderman's website, if you actually, I would just Google alternatives to 911 for behavioral health services, first ward Alderman, and it'll pull up.
Okay. And to second off that question, Pamela, I'll also have Loren resend me the link and then I'll make sure to have it. This video will be out and live for people to watch the recording of. We'll make sure to attach the link to that as well so those services can go together. Thank you, Lauren. Let me see. It looks like we have another question from Christy Richardson. She wants to know, will you be affiliated with Salvation in the Chicago Mobile Outreach Services? Meaning, would you be able to take their clients if there were no beds and the client demonstrated some mental health symptoms?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I think, we're not a shelter. However, if somebody's having a mental health crisis, they're welcome to come to us. And if Salvation Army wanted to transport that person to us, that would be, I think, fine on our end.
Okay, so Sounds like that is an option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if somebody's going through a crisis. The other thing that's really important is that people like, nobody's forced to come to us or coerced to come to us. So like we would hope that they would, that Salvation Army would make sure that that is what the guest wants to do.
Okay. Okay. To kind of expand on that question, is there somebody who might be interested in making that connection between Salvation Army and your place that they might be able to connect with?
Certainly. You can either call us at this is the living room main number. So 312-350-2784. Or you can chat with us on our website at www.renaissancelivingroom.org.
And for everyone watching, I'm going to go ahead and reshare the slide that has all that information on as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Just so you can all see the slide, it's this final one right here. Just a reminder, this is the temporary location. The permanent location will be coming in November. Lauren, you said you'll have more confirmed dates near the end of this month?
Yep, and we'll have all of that information up on our website.
Awesome. And then, yeah, you can all call or text this number, and this is Renaissance website. Okay, let me see. What if, another question we got is, what if someone is wanting to come in and use your services, but they have a background and they're nervous to come in?
That's totally understandable. And a lot of folks have backgrounds. Some of our staff have that, in our own lived experience. And I would say, on our end, it's incumbent on us to make sure that to do our best to create a space that feels safe and welcoming for you.
Okay.
So yes, please, please come to us.
Thank you. Thank you. So one question that is being asked is, though you mentioned you have virtual services, but for those who want to be able to come in person but aren't able to make it, is there some form of transportation service you have access to for anybody, or?
So we do. It's a little bit of a case-by-case basis. We have, once people get to us, we have bus passes. I would say if somebody is struggling with the transportation to get to us, if they could call or text us or chat with us on our website, we'll kind of work with them on a plan to do that. I don't want to say this is available in every instance, but one thing that we are working on is being able to provide like an Uber Health or Uber service to bring somebody to the living room or take somebody somewhere afterwards if they needed to. I don't want to say that's available for everybody right now, but it's something that we're working on.
Okay. Let me check. It looks like the only other question we have left is, how do I sign up?
You walk in or call us or text us or chat with us on the website.
Okay. Okay.
No sign up necessary.
Okay. And just as you mentioned, just as a reminder, these are free services to everyone. And as Lauren made very clear, all we have to do is walk in for it. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing about the living room. This is so incredible. Anybody who is interested in connecting with Lauren, the Renaissance Social Services, the living room, please feel free to reach out to them. I can pop their contact information back up once more. I also want to let you know that you are able to get in contact with them through the Austin Community Hub as well. So if you reach out to me, my name is Janelle Martin. I am the hub coordinator. I'm happy to work with you and any resources you and your family may be in need of. And if one of those resources is connecting you to the living room and Lauren, I got you. Let me share their information one more time for anybody who needs. So just as a final reminder, they are at a temporary location at the moment. Their permanent location is coming up. This is their phone number and their website, and their current hours are 8 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. I do want to continue to thank everyone again for joining us for October's Hub 101. I am going to do a little bit of a selfish plug and advertise for our next Hub 101 coming in November. Let me pull that up. One moment. I apologize, everyone. The technical difficulties today are not my favorite.
It's okay. Janelle, I just want to say thank you again for hosting us and for hosting this incredible event. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all virtually.
Yeah, thank you so much. So as a reminder, just to share again, our next Hub 101 is with New Moms. They're an organization based here in Austin. They provide services for young new moms, anybody who is typically between the ages of 18 to 24, but they work with any new moms up to the age of 24. We'll be looking at what resources they have available, and this will be November 16th from 1 to 2:15. So if anybody has any questions or concerns, this flyer will be going out. You're welcome to scan the code to register, and then email me. My email is at the bottom, as well as my contact information for further information. But that wraps up our event today. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And if you would like to get in contact with the Living Room or the Austin Community Hub, feel free to reach out to myself. My name is Janelle Martin, and our guest, Lauren. Thank you.